India's strong economic growth is one of the key achievements Prime Minister Narendra Modi is highlighting as he seeks re-election in the ongoing polls. But away from the bustling urban centres, we look at how has the growth trickled down to the poorer segments of Indian society. Rebecca Bundhun reports from Maharashtra, where the divide between the financial hub of Mumbai and rural parts of the state are clearly visible.
Farmer Balaram Rane lives about 70 kilometres from Mumbai. He has 3 daughters to provide for, but he says he's lucky if he manages to make $150 a month selling his produce.
साल में खाली पेट ही भरता है, इसके बाद हमको कुछ कमाई है ही नहीं, खाली हमारा घर का गुजारा चलता है.
About 2/3 of India's population live in rural parts of the country, but wealth is largely concentrated in the cities. Over the last decade, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, India has achieved an average annual growth rate of 7%, propelling it to become the world's 5th largest economy. The government think tank Niti Aayog published a report earlier in the year saying that up until last year, within the decade Mr Modi was in power, almost 250 million people had been lifted out of poverty. However, India's poverty levels remain in the double digits at a projected 11%. The same agency looked at the number of citizens in multidimensional poverty, which measures deprivation across income, education and basic infrastructure. It found that poverty among the rural population in the period in 2019 to 2021 was 19%. In urban areas, it was 5%. And some economists say the income gap has widened in recent years.
The combined effect of demonetization, GST, and subsequently the pandemic and the reverse migration, these are the factors which have impacted rural income, and that is why there is an increasing feeling of disparity between rural and urban India.
During the demonetisation exercise, India's 2 highest value banknotes were banned overnight in 2016, a major economic initiative of the Modi government, along with India's Goods and Services Tax, or GST, launched in 2017. But government data released earlier this year showed that household spending more than doubled in both urban and rural India in over a decade. Although average monthly urban expenditure was much higher at $78 compared to $45 in rural India, the survey conducted between August 2022 and July 2023 suggests that rural spending grew at a similar pace. Economists say that this data does not necessarily square with the consensus view that the post-COVID economic recovery has lagged behind in rural areas. The head of the government's public policy think tank said food was for the first time making up less than half of the total expenses for rural households. And according to him, it's not that consumption levels of food are going down in absolute terms. Instead, people were buying more products such as TVs, mobile phones and cars. Critics peering through the data have questioned the methodology used and if lives are indeed better for rural households. Balaram says he doesn't blame Mr Modi for his struggles. Rather, he says the government's done a lot to help him out.
गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडी मिलती है, हमको गवर्नमेंट के तरफ से चावल, गेहूं, आटा ये सब हमको मिलता है और इसमें हम थोड़ा बहुत खुश हैं. देखिए मोदी सरकार ने किसानों के लिए बहुत कुछ स्कीम लाया है.
Rural voters helped to bring Mr Modi back to power in 2019. So for Mr Modi to win a 3rd term, he will need voters like Balaram behind him. The Modi government says it has taken several steps to help the rural population, including free food handouts and cash transfers to farmers. Some economists say that the government isn't only using freebies to bridge the gap.
At least that's what they're telling they're trying to do, is to create infrastructure, create roads, rural roads, create more education opportunity and more health care.
For now, welfare schemes are helping rural citizens like Balaram and his family to get by. But economists say narrowing the divide between urban and rural India will require the successful implementation of longer-term measures. Rebecca Bundhun, CNA, Maharashtra.